Netanyahu say that his stated goal in an interview with I-24 News, an Israeli publication, say that he has a religious need to pursue the greater Israel
I'm going to let
project.
Scott answer quickly, and then we've got to go. Go ahead, Scott.
Go ahead, Scott.
My view is this. The hostages have been there for almost 700 days. There's a reason that Hamas has not released them.
Are you going to answer her question, though?
I don't know. I don't work for the Israeli government.
What's going on, you guys? We have Scott Jennings hiding behind vague claims and lies. Anna Kasparian is demanding evidence. She is demanding the truth. Let's get into it.
Netanyahu said in a statement today that this was a tragic mishap.
Yeah, I think they said also 6 terrorists were killed in the attack. We've heard. How do you know?
I know it's BS because of the IDF's internal documents, which indicate that 83% of people killed there happen to be civilians.
That there weren't any terrorists there?
I'm not going to sit here and regurgitate the lies from the Israeli government as they're conducting a genocide.
I kind of got into it with Scott Jennings on Abby Phillips's CNN show last night, and I kind of wanted to revisit some of these moments, some of the highlights. Before we get to the first clip, Waz, any thoughts on that fiery moment?
Just the guy's smugness of how do you know? Again, they've released their own internal stats that claim that 8,800 of the deaths are confirmed Hamas fighters, when we know all they do to confirm that you're a militant is that you're over the age of 16. Okay?
And you're a male, yeah.
So we know that it's probably much lower. They've been just killing people indiscriminately. Like, let's be generous and say it's like a third lower. I'm willing to say that it's probably 2/3 if we're being honest, but let's just say it's a third lower than that. That means the civilian casualty rate is higher than 83%, Anna. That means it's like 88%, 89%, 90%. Like, that's so when we know that's already their civilian casualty rate, and you come here and tell me that they done tripled it on this kill, like that they've tripled their accuracy rate for killing Hamas, that they've done the whole war, nonsense.
Yeah, not only that, here's the thing. When it comes to something as significant as taking people's lives, killing them, I'm gonna need a little more than a notoriously deceptive military telling me, oh, they were militants. Oh, okay, I'm a supermodel and a billionaire. Like, you can't just make that statement and accept or think that we're all gonna accept it and regurgitate it like propagandists like Scott Jennings do. Okay, like I need to see some evidence, and to the credit of the Associated Press, in a story that I covered earlier, they report, yeah, Israel's saying this, but they haven't provided a shred of evidence at all. And in fact, of the people who were killed in that double tap strike, here are the names. Here's what they did: like a hospital worker, medical driver, like just 5 journalists. It's just such BS. And look, Israel got away with it in the very beginning and in the middle and all the way up to like maybe last week, but not anymore. I mean, we know.
Someone has to stop the IDF. They're literally doing nothing but wanting to start wars and bring the US into it. Whether you are a Republican, whether you are a Democrat, whether you're on Scott Jennings' side or Anna Kasparian's side, you have to understand what the IDF is doing, what's going on. They just started some shit with Yemen. That's gonna pull us in there. We have to call this crap out, otherwise we're going to get dragged into it.
Never bought it, but the whole of the US media just kind of went along with the lies. So with that in mind, let's go to our first lengthy video, I guess. This is where I just kind of lay out everything that needs to be laid out in regard to what Israel's real intentions are.
I don't believe for a second that those journalists were not targeted. I think journalists are being targeted in Gaza. They're not allowing international journalists to report on the ground, to enter the Gaza Strip, unless, of course, they're being accompanied by IDF soldiers. And hundreds of journalists have been slaughtered in Gaza. Every single time it happens, Netanyahu comes out and says, oh, it was a mishap. And the United States just forgets about it and moves on, continues providing more bombs. I do consider it a genocide when you have humanitarian aid workers doctors being slaughtered, when you have every single hospital bombed, when you have the entire Gaza Strip leveled, that's not a war. A war, if you do targeted strikes and you go after the combatants. 729 magazine, an Israeli publication, obtained IDF documents showing, their data shows that 83% of the people slaughtered in Gaza are civilians, 83%. Let me say it again, 83%. How are you going to call that a war against Hamas?
Let's just note for the record that as I was making my point about how Israel should be doing targeted strikes instead of leveling the entirety of the Gaza Strip, this is what Scott Jennings' face looked like. I mean, look, when I'm on these types of panels, even when I do Piers Morgan's show, I try really hard to not do this annoying thing that other panelists do. We're like I can't stand it. If I really want to make my feelings known, I just interrupt them and then I talk over them. Okay? It's the more honorable way of doing it. But everything I said is verifiable. Everything.
There were a bunch of foreign doctors at that hospital who were told that they had a mandatory training and had to leave the hospital and were told they couldn't go back that day. So essentially the Israeli military knew that all of the foreign doctors who were there to administer medical care to sick, dying, suffering Gazans were made to leave for some fake training program. They all said like this was a fake training program. They knew all the foreign doctors were gonna be gone, and then they struck the hospital. Straight up. It's like, what do you call that besides targeted? Like there's no other way to put this. And then of course he gets caught on camera and it's like, oh, my bad, which, with the Israelis, it happens that they're, anytime it's caught on camera, it's like, oh man, that was a big mistake. And every time it's not, it's like, oh, we got 100 Hamas guys with that strike. It's crazy the coincidence and how that's been working out.
But you see people eat it up. People like Scott Jennings, he's going to go always and just cling to, oh, these terrorists got killed. You have to see, that if Benjamin Netanyahu is doing something okay, right? And they just do not understand what the hell is going down. And if they do understand it, they are playing willful ignorance.
Well, initially, after that video went viral, you had Netanyahu basically saying that it was a mishap. And then after that, the IDF got upset at him because it made the IDF look bad, like they made a mistake. And then all these the storyline about how 6 combatants were killed came out. It's so brazen, it's so obvious that it's a lie. Everything that comes out of the Israeli side is a lie unless they provide evidence, which typically they don't. I'm not gonna take what either side says at face value, but I'll take the evidence. And with the Israeli side, they just feel they're above it. They don't need to provide evidence. We should just believe everything they say, take it at face value. So, in the middle of this debate, the topic of the West Bank came up. And I think it's important to remember the West Bank, especially as, the Israel defenders pretend like they care about the hostages and that this is all about the hostages. Take a look.
Why is Israel annexing the West Bank, which of course is not governed by Hamas at all? Why are Israeli settlers allowed to just run Palestinians out of their legal homes, build thousands of illegal settlements? West Bank has nothing to do with Hamas. Why is Israel annexing it? Why did Netanyahu say that his stated goal in an interview with I-24 News, an Israeli publication, say that he has a religious need to pursue the greater Israel project?
I'm going to let Scott answer quickly and then we've got to go. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Scott.
My view is this. The hostages have been there for almost 700 days. There's a reason that Hamas has not released them. Are you going to answer
her question, though?
I don't know. I don't work for the Israeli government.
It certainly sounds like you work for the Israeli government. Okay, there are no hostages in the West Bank, and he knows that. He knows that, Waz.
Again, they can't really defend anything that they're doing. I was talking to producer Taylor before I came on, and I was like, Zelensky can come up here and he can sell a narrative, right? Like he could be like, look, these guys invaded us. We need these weapons to defend ourselves. Like the Russian army was over there. Now they're over here. They're encroaching on our territory day by day. Blah, blah. Like, this is what we need. And it's like, all right, they can just make the case for the war that they're trying to prosecute on its face. The Israelis and their defenders, they just can't. All they can say is, but Hamas. They can't be like, well, Hamas is about to, they're this close to breaching this security perimeter, or, this many citizens are in danger because this thing that Hamas has, or they just got a new weapon, or there's nothing. It has nothing to do with the defense of the Israeli people or Israel as a sovereign nation. Like, they don't make that case. It's just slaughter. Like,
there we have it, you guys. Anna Kasparian bringing up some of the best points. I mean, why does Netanyahu say that he wants greater Israel? Some things are just too blatantly obvious to ignore. No matter what side you're on, you have to see 73% or 83%. That amount of civilians getting in the crossfire is it has to be called something different than a war, whatever it is going on in Gaza. Some people might call it ethnic cleansing. That's what I call it. But yeah, let me know what y'all think in the comments. It's another day in the progressive way.